Welcome back to Necromunda Monday, the series in which I tackle making models for Games Workshops Necromunda that do not have official models. If you're interested in what models we've made previously in the series, check out the playlist on the channel. It has all the episodes in one place for your viewing pleasure. Now, with that being said, let's sharpen our blades, spill some paint, and regret some dice rolls, and let's get into today's episode. So, for episode 2 of the series, I want to look at a hanger-on for the Cawdor gang. I want to look at this model as I have never personally seen this model being used within a Cawdor gang, and I personally feel that this is more due to the fact that it doesn't have an official model than its rules. So today we're going to be building a model for the Flagellator. Where do we start with this one? Unlike the last episode on the Grease Monkey, we actually have two reference pieces of material for the Flagellator, one being the stat block and two being this image. Let's begin by looking at the stat block. The most important things that stand out to me on the Flagellator stat block is that the Flagellator is only equipped with a flail. The next most important thing on the stat block is the special rule, called Purification Through Pain. If the name of the rule does not give it away, this hanger-on hurts himself to help other gang fighters. As a side note within this series, we won't be going into depth about any special rules these hanger-ons have, or how they impact your gangs and lists. If this is something that interests you, I highly recommend you check out fellow friend of the channel, Dr. Drybrush's What They Actually Do series, as he goes more in depth on what each hanger-on does and how they impact your gangs. Phew, now that the stub gun loving psychopath's plug is done and he's finally left my studio, let's turn our attention to the image. We can see the artist from the Necromunda team's depiction shows the Flagellator with flailing tendrils instead of an arm, and a sign that says Sinner stapled to his chest. These help invoke the idea of the Flagellator punishing himself for others' sins. I want to move away from this slightly, not only to appease the YouTube overlords, but I also want to show more of the zealot, fanatical side Cawdor are known for. With that being said, let's move to making the model. These are the bits we'll need to make this model. Let's start with looking at the head. I have chose this head for its zealot deranged look. It comes from the Sanctifier Kill Team kit, but you could choose any head that you want. I chose this one mainly due to the scarring on his forehead. I think this fits the theme of the Flagellator and gives the overall aesthetic that I'm looking for. Then, after that, we have a book, specifically an open book. This is important, from the Sanctifier's Kill Team kit, but you could use any open book that you can get your hands on. After that, we have a right arm from the Flagellator's kit. Then, we have a body, again from the Sanctifier's Kill Team kit. I would highly recommend picking up this kit, as we use a lot of the parts in this Kitbash, as well as other Kitbashes to come on the channel. And last, we have the body of a Chaos Cultist. I have chose this one specifically, as the right arm from the Flagellants grafts onto the Chaos's torso very well. I am also going to remove the weapon in his left hand, which will leave him in a more zealot cheering pose. So let's start. We'll start with the body, as this is the easiest bit. We're just going to follow the instructions and build the body as intended. Now you can see that I have done that, and you can see that I have only glued the legs on, as I am intending to cut here, just above the waist, and separate the legs from the upper torso. We will keep the legs, and we will discard the torso, as we don't need this. Now, as you can see, I have done this, and this is what we are left with. I will now bring in the Chaos torso so that we can compare it to the legs, as we will be grafting these two pieces together just above the belt here on the Chaos Cultist torso. As you can see, this means we will need to make some cuts, so I will do this for now. To make this easier, you can see I'm using my snips to remove the pouches and armor plate on the torso before I file it down to make a nice fit. As you can see, we have the two parts here. The only issue is he's currently cosplaying as Darth Maul, so we'll have to remedy this by gluing the two halves together. I will do this now, and I will come back once it's done. Now that I've done that, you can see he's no longer doing a cosplay, although there are some big gaps. For the moment being, we don't have to worry about this, we will remedy this later. Now, the next step is to remove the weapon from his hand. I'm just going to nice and easily cut either side of the weapon, leaving him with a closed fist. Now that that easy step is done, we're going to move on to the harder step. This is covering up the join gaps between the torso and the legs. I'm going to do this by taking this book and I'm going to glue it onto the join between the legs and the torso and the front of the model to hide this gap. You could use green stuff if your sculpting is better than mine, however, I wanted to put this book on the model anyway, and this gives more of an aesthetic to the model that I was looking for in the Zealotness. I'll do this then out. Now that I have done this, you can see you can no longer see the join gap from the front of the model's profile. However, on the side, you can definitely see it. Now, again, you could use green stuff and sculpt in here to make a nice join between the robes and the skin. However, this is not something that I am comfortable doing. You can see the gap on the other side's not as bad, but we do need to do something about this huge gap. I am going to stick a lot of relics and other greebles to this model, like so. You can see I have added quite a fair bit between things like rope, which is common within the Cawdor models, other little pouches and relics, as well as damaged cloth base. Now, as you know, I did not list any of these bits within the beginning of the video for the tutorial, as the bits that you use don't necessarily have to be the same bits. You can use whatever bits you want. Or, as I said before, if you feel more comfortable sculpting with green stuff, you could do that too. Now, let's move on to the arm. This is the right arm from an Flagellator kit, and the good thing about this one is it grafts very nicely to the actual torso that we have here, so that all we have to do is glue it together. Now that I've glued that together, you can see that it's nice and simple, and it almost looks like the parts were made to go together and make a very nice silhouette for the model. Let's add the head in, and you'll see that the head that we have chosen has a ball joint, meaning we'll have to make a cut here so that it will be flat to be able to fit on the neck. I'm going to take this away and do it, and there we go, one finished model. I really like the silhouette of this model because it makes him look like he's in a zealot frenzy. Now, the only thing that we have left to do is get some close-ups. Now, with the high-res image coming on screen, I just want to thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode, and say if you enjoyed the episode, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and if you have any other suggestions for models that you would like to see going forward in this series, we will get to them all eventually, but please put them in the comments below, and we might do them sooner rather than later. And with that, I wish you all a good day, good night, wherever you are, and see you all next week.